Rite of Passage, the podcast with Giabra Martin.
All right, good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the show. We're here with author Alexandra Shaw. How are you?
I'm well. How are you?
I'm very well, thank you. We were working on some tech things ahead of time. It's tough with Zoom because we want to be professional. So I have the external camera and I used to do a microphone, but then Zoom gets all confused and then things stop working. And
I did not like my microphone.
no, it sounded great, but then you couldn't hear me, and I was like, oh my God. And then you're trying to communicate when we can't hear each other. We're like, it's
Then I just feel like I'm on a Verizon commercial. Can you hear me now? Or is it
I swear,
Sprint?
oh, goes way back. Yeah, the guy taking a couple steps, Scott. I wonder where that guy is, honestly.
I
What are you
don't
doing?
know, but that is all that that's all I think about when I'm like, I can't hear you. Can you hear me? Can you hear me now?
Oh, no. Oh, well, I appreciate you coming on. We've been kind of like in each other's orbit, I think is how I phrased it for like a long time. So we're in several different author groups on like TikTok and stuff. And you and I haven't had the chance to really talk. So this is cool. I'm glad we're finally like sitting down to kind of, chat a little more.
Yeah, I mean, I see your videos all the time. I
Yeah.
comment on them and like them, but I've
Yeah.
never actually like connected with you on a like face-to-face level like I have with
Right.
some other people. So it's cool.
And I feel like a lot of readers tag us in the same things, right? Because a lot of TikTok videos are like, "Oh, tag your favorite authors," and I feel like you and I are usually in the same comments. And I was like, you know what? Like, we're gonna sit down and talk for sure.
I'm
See what's
excited. All the
yeah,
people I've spoken to about you are they sing your praises. So
that's
yeah.
funny. That's because they don't live with me. It's all they get 40 minutes, and
Isn't that always the way? It's like if you
yeah,
talk to my wife or my husband, like you they would disagree.
like yeah, you have no idea. Oh well, I am excited. So I have your Amazon, author profile pulled up. You have written a lot of books.
I have.
Yeah.
I
How
have.
long have you been writing for? I mean,
So I've been I've been writing since I was probably in high school, but I
okay.
didn't I I wrote an article like several years ago about an experience, like a personal experience I had, and it was published in a magazine. But
Okay.
beyond that, um, and I got paid to publish it. It was kind of cool.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
but beyond that, like I stopped writing because then life happened.
Yeah.
Um, and then the vid happened, and I was like, I've got time on my hands, which sounds weird because like my kids were home and I was pregnant, but and working full time. But
Right.
I don't know, like I felt like I had time, so I started writing. And then
Maybe it's just like taking the commute out of the mix or something, or I
it
don't know.
probably was like the
Yeah.
45 minutes that I was in my car, either like, so I had an hour and a half commute. I just,
I,
so I started writing. Yeah.
ah. That's like a recurring theme I hear. Just like something about the whole COVID thing, and maybe it was like, okay, we got a little bit of extra time, or we're reconnecting with family, or the whole world is slowing down a little bit since we're going remote. But for whatever reason, a whole bunch of people redirected and they're like, you know what? Like this dream I've been, I stuffed it in a closet for years, right? And they're like, you know what? This is the time. And I'm in that same camp, like it was like 10 years I was like thinking about being a writer, like fantasizing about it. And it was like, you know what? Damn it. Like, we're going to stop talking. Like, today's the day. And I don't know. I hear that a lot. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I would start books all the time.
Hmm.
And then I don't know if it was imposter syndrome or if I would just, like, it didn't feel right. Like, it felt forced.
Hmm.
And then I don't know, I kept dreaming about, like, with the first book, I just kept dreaming about the characters. And I was like, this
Hmm.
is grating on me. And I think like my psyche was telling me, like, you need to just do this.
Right.
So
I'm
really
going
gonna
to
like
ask you
eat
a
at
woo
me.
woo. I'm going to ask you a woo woo question right off the bat. Cause I've had that too when you're writing a book and you can like see the characters and you see it like a movie and you dream about them. Do you ever feel like your characters are real somewhere?
Yes.
Like there is some place where they actually are. Like it's not just in your head. You're like almost like documenting like
A
some,
real story. It feels like
yeah,
it sometimes. And they get very personal to me. Like my
right.
characters are very I do feel like they're real. I do feel like they're um almost like friends, and
Mm,
I'm very protective of them. It's
yeah.
very woo-woo. It's very like
Uh,
kooky. Like I don't know why I feel that way. I'm like feel like I'm a little crazy. Um, but yeah, I mean, I I I love them and it's like they write themselves. Like I will have ideas of what I want. And then like this one story I was writing and I got 3 chapters left to write. And I
right.
wrote the whole book, right? 3 chapters left. And the character is like, this is not who I am. And I have to go back and rewrite one of the characters because the way I wrote him is not, it's not authentic. Like I was reading it
Yeah.
back, like this, like he does not like this. So I have to go back and change it. So yeah,
Interesting.
for me, it's like they're,
No, I know what you mean. Like sometimes like in the editing phase, like something speaks to you and it's like, no, 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 we misunderstood this whole thing. Like this is actually not how it goes down or not why it goes down or like these are the wrong details for the wrong reasons. I'm experiencing that with like my current work in progress and in a way like that that's kind of new to me. I'm like, okay, this is weird. The story has a life of its own that's kind of somewhat independent of me and I'm almost just like trying to document it correctly. You know what I mean?
yeah, I mean, I had this idea of what I wanted the book to be.
Hmm.
And there's the whole plot line, like there's like fight scenes I've never done like true fight scenes before. And this
Hmm.
one character, he like he's Irish and comes from the mob and he has like this whole backstory and I tried to make him something that he wasn't. And I'm like, he's just not this romantic kind. Like I wanted him to be something. And I'm like, as I was reading it, I'm like, no, he's kind of a jerk and I need to like be honest, like that is who he is.
Mm.
And I was trying to write him to be something. I mean, there's moments when he can be kind, but he has an edge to him. He
Yeah.
he has to have that edge. That's how he was raised. So for me
Right.
to like ignore, it didn't feel authentic as I was reading it. So even though I have 3 chapters left, I wasn't even reading through it, but like as I got to towards the end and I have like this like big fight scene that I have to do where they are kind of at war with this other group. And
Yeah.
I'm like, he's not who I wrote him to be. I had to go back and rewrite a couple scenes because it was just like I can't write the rest of the book until I fix what I've done at the beginning because it was
Mm.
just so wrong. And it
Yeah.
basically rewrote his character because he wasn't what I wanted him to be.
God, you ever hear of the Mandela effect?
I have not, but I know who Nelson
Oh,
Mandela is.
oh, oh. It's this
I'm
weird.
assuming that's the Mandela you're talking about.
Yeah, well, it's based on Nelson Mandela because okay, the way it originated, this whole thing was like it was like when Nelson Mandela passed away, there was like like the whole world was like, oh, we lost this great figure, and there was a bunch of people who were like, wait a second, I could have sworn he died 10 years ago. I remember watching his funeral on TV, and there was a whole bunch of people like remembering reality in a
Like a
wrong way.
warped version of reality that didn't
Yeah,
happen.
but they all remembered the same wrong details the same way. And then they started looking and they're like, okay, wait a second. Like, there's a bunch of things in the world they're like not the way we remember. Like, I remember as a kid eating Jiffy peanut butter. And there's Jif peanut butter, right? But there's never been a Jiffy peanut butter. But I could swear, like, I can picture the packaging, the logo, all these things. And like, there's all these weird examples. But anyway, here's the thing. So in
Jiffy
Einstein,
exists. It's just not a peanut butter.
there's Jiffy,
Isn't it like a
there's Jiffy Lube, the
popcorn or
oil change
something?
people. There's Jiffy popcorn. Um, no, there's a whole bunch of these. So like the shoe Skechers
Yes.
never had a T in the name. Like it's actually Skechers, like on paper, or like Febreze is spelled like Febreze,
Yes. Yes.
or Looney Tunes is spelled like Looney Musical Tunes. But I
Yes.
remember as a kid, Tooons, you know what I mean, versus like Tunes. But anyway, so everyone I've ever met who's ever, taken psychedelic mushrooms or something like this, they all remember reality wrong.
Berenstain Bears. That's another
Yes,
one. They're
that's
not
another
the
one. That's a big
Berenstain
one.
Bears. Yes.
That's a big one. So anyway, okay, here's what I'm getting at. And I'm going to bring this full circle and then we'll get back into your stuff. I just go on tangents here. Um, when Einstein was kind of working on like relativity and these things, it was like, okay, we know that like today is going to influence tomorrow, right? Like the present is going to influence the future. But his mathematics showed that the future might even influence the past, which is like a weird thing. Like you could, in theory, like he kind of posited this whole Mandela effect thing, and like he didn't live to see any of it through. Like he thought he made these great mistakes. Like he came up with like quantum entanglement. He thought it was like his greatest mathematical error. He's like, wait, how can two things in different places influence each other instantaneously? Kind of thing. And he thought he made a huge mistake. But anyway, what I'm getting at is like you're in the middle of writing your book, you're getting toward the end, and now somehow the future is like, no, 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 we gotta like change the past to get to this point. It's like the future of the book is talking to the past of the book, and the past is and I mean, editing a book is kind of like I don't know, it's this weird parallel with the strange reality we live in. But that's kind of what you're describing in a way.
Yes, because when I'm like almost at the end of the book and I'm like, now I can't finish it because the past is wrong.
Right.
So I have to, and this is not like futuristic, like I'm not being, there's no time travel in this novel or anything like that.
Yeah.
But because the way that I wrote the one of the main characters, it does change the dynamics between all the other characters and what
Mm,
will eventually happen at the end and how he plays a role in that. So
right.
it, and I only figured this out because I alphaed it. I haven't finished, like, there's 3 chapters left, right? But I was like, I'm
Mhm.
curious what alpha readers are going to think. So, and I
Right.
have a great group of people that are great readers and tell me their honest feedback.
Nice.
So I sent it to Shannon, who's one of my readers, and she's on my street team, and I can trust to know that, like, if I send this to her, she'll tell me the truth.
Yeah.
She's like, I don't really buy him like this. Like that's not him. Even she, and I had already had this inkling, and she spoke to it. I'm like, wow, if she's telling me he's wrong, then it's wrong because she would be
Yeah.
honest. So she's like, yeah, that's not him. So I
Got it.
had to, I'm like, okay, so now I got to go back. And I don't do a ton of ARC read or like alpha readers. I tend to
Mhm.
keep it fairly small. Same with my
Yeah.
beta readers. I don't need like 1,000 opinions because that's just too
Right.
much.
Yeah.
Um,
It gets crazy and you can't make everyone happy too. Like it'll just get all cluttered up. Yeah.
yeah, so like 2 to 3 people that know my writing, that understand my process, that
Right.
like my books, but have their own opinions and can say that's crap or that's great. Like they'll be honest
Yeah.
with me. Um, So she was one of those people, and I'm like, yeah, okay. She just confirmed what I'd been feeling. So now I got to go back and fix it. But
Ah, it's like having an external intuition, right? You get this like inkling and you're like, I'm not sure. Like I need a sign. And then this person like, well, and you're like, oh God, actually that was like the push I needed. Like I was
yes,
thinking that, but now, yeah, you confirmed it for me. So
yeah,
back to
she
the drawing
totally
board.
solidified all of the like that insecure. I was like, because sometimes you're like, am I just being insecure? Am I being overly like specific about this? Am I taking it too seriously? Because it's just a
Right.
book, right? Like at the end of the day, it's like this isn't. I work in tech, my real job, and
Okay.
I had this manager who used to be in the military, and
Hmm.
um he was stationed in Iraq, and he would always remind us because I work in security and IT, and he would always be like, It's not Fallujah. Like just like at the end of the day, this isn't Fallujah. No one's going to die. This isn't like, don't take life so seriously. Take a deep breath." He's like, "If
Right.
I know real battle, this is not it. Like take a deep
Yeah.
breath and take a step back." So like I always have that thought process in my head now when
Right.
I'm like writing something or even in other work that I have where it's like everyone's got a fire and I just like
Right.
take a step back. I'm like, no one's going to die if we stop and take a breath.
Right. And like if the book isn't perfect, it's funny. Like, I mean, different people need different things, right? Like the message you're describing is exactly the one I need. Because in my head, I'm like, Charles Dickens doesn't write crap books. Like Hemingway doesn't write crap books. And like, I don't either. Like this thing, if I'm putting my name on it, it's going to be perfect. And I need that message that like, all right, slow down, buddy. Like have a little humility, chill the hell out. It isn't brain surgery. It's not life or death. Like
Yeah.
there's very low stakes here. Just
And
enjoy
if I
this.
publish a week or two later than I intended, the world's not going to end.
Right.
Like that's the great thing about being an indie author is I'm not beholden to anyone but myself,
Right. Right.
or my readers who are constantly saying, when is the book going to be done? I'm waiting for it to be done because I talk about them, you know? And
Yeah.
so,
Yeah.
like, obviously, like, that's exciting. My readers want it, but I want it to be as great as I can make it.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, I will say this. I love Hemingway. I've read every single book.
Yeah.
Old Man and the Sea is the worst book you should make a high schooler read. Like, that is the
Oh,
worst of all of his books. For
it
Whom
is
the
my
Bell Tolls, there There are so he has written so many amazing books
yeah.
that can speak to younger people. That was
Hmm.
the one. I don't know what prompted me to continue reading his books after I read that one, or maybe I
Hmm.
was resentful because it was forced on me. Because there
Okay.
could be some of that, like the psychological, like you're making me read this, so I don't like it.
Yeah.
But I've read every book he ever wrote, and that is my least favorite of all of them.
It is my absolute favorite, but I understand why. Like it's okay, For Whom the Bell Tolls is like I'm halfway through that one. And there's some things in it, there's some things in it that have really spoken to me. Um, but something about the Old Man and the Sea, like what I love about it, I feel like whatever we're writing as authors in any given moment is some reflection of where we are in our lives. You know what I mean? Like somehow like and I had this whole debate once, like, can a piece of art ever be greater than the artist? And a side of me is like, okay, you take a guy like Caravaggio, and he's got all these wonderful paintings, and I'm like, none of these paintings are him, and he made all of them. So like, clearly, he must be greater than what he has made. But by the same token, these individual paintings have a whole life. Like the man is dead, but these paintings are in the Vatican, they're in the Louvre, and like they're
They
speaking to
live
people.
on.
And yeah, hundreds of years later, people are coming to look at these and they're having a relationship with this piece of art and it's connecting and it's speaking to people's souls. And, you know, I don't know. Hemingway, The Old Man and the Sea, all of his books are disturbing.
Yes.
Hemingway felt no obligation to be like, and here's the resolution and here's the moral message. It's always just like,
No, and
well,
for
life
yeah,
is
and For Whom
hard.
the Bell Tolls is dark. Like it is a dark, but it's about a civil war. It's not supposed to be pretty and like wonderful. It's supposed to show it. And let's be honest, the man was dark. Like he had
Oh, yeah.
demons.
Oh,
He was
yeah.
an alcoholic. He had his own struggles that he had to deal with, which I'm sure played a huge part in what he wrote.
Yeah.
But I think that's what I loved about that particular novel was because it was so raw and real. And he didn't he's also got like a simple way of writing prose. He doesn't
Mm,
over explain. He doesn't think you're stupid when you read the book. Like, you know what
right.
I mean? Like there's some authors that like spend a little too much time explaining things. It's like, can you trust your reader to understand or like to have an imagination? I don't need you to over explain everything and spend an hour telling me what the room looks like.
Right. Or even if you are misunderstood, you can live with that. You'd be like,
Yes.
it's not my problem, right? Like,
I can,
yeah.
it's not plot, it's not an intricate part of the plot. I can move on.
Hmm.
But he had a way of writing that was so, and I told this to Ron Shaw. I believe you know him.
I do. I do.
Ron, because I love Ron's books and I don't like fantasy, but I love Ron's books. And I think it's
Yeah.
because he has a simple way of writing that just explains things without over explaining. And he trusts the reader to just enjoy the book.
Yeah.
And
Okay.
there's darkness in it. Like his books they're not pretty. Like
Hmm.
they're in purgatory, basically.
Yeah.
Um, but it's I don't know. That's a kind of writing that I enjoy. I don't know if I write that way. I wish that I did, but that's what I love about Hemingway's books is
Hmm.
that he's got a very specific style. And I ate up I think I spent one summer and read every single book he ever wrote.
Wow. I think in my head, I'm conflating For Whom the Bell Tolls with A Farewell to Arms. A Farewell to Arms is the one I'm halfway through. And I think that's the one that's most pulled from his real life. Because I think he did some ambulance driving and like in the Italians.
Probably.
Yeah. Like, and I don't know. I don't know. I was thinking about this recently that a lot of people like our society tells us to avoid our struggles and things, right? Like whatever discomfort you're going through, like find some way to avoid it. Like take a pill, have a drink, turn on a movie, do
Stuff
everything you
it.
can to avoid it, right? Like find any hollow treatment that'll get you through right now. But I feel like real artists, I mean, it's like we kind of teeter on insanity and we go into like these pits of like purgatory and um we sometimes come out with something really extraordinary and beautiful, but like there is a bit of personal suffering that comes with making great art. I mean, so many of my absolute favorite artists across all these different mediums, books, movies, music, a lot of them had horrible, horrible lives, but they made extraordinary art. Like even my favorite, like philosophical teachers, most of them were alcoholics. You know, like the Alan Wattses and the I don't know, I think Dostoevsky and a lot of these people, you know, died terribly, but they brought forward beautiful things for humanity. But it feels like they suffered for it. You know, they had to cut an ear off to get it or something.
Well, I think we are creative people, right?
Mhm.
So in that I think to have art that speaks to people, it has to come from a real place. And if you
Hmm.
haven't experienced something, whether it's good or bad,
Yeah,
then you're not drawing from anything that another reader can identify with. It's like in dark romance, people are like, "Oh my God, it's so weird." Like dark romance. I don't, and I'm dabbling in dark romance. I haven't really written it. I did a psychological romance where it was like a psychological thriller, and then the romance was kind of like a secondary part of it. But
okay,
um, it people are like, it's not real. How do you identify? Like you, it's not those moments that are the darkness, but
yeah,
it's the realness of those characters that speak to someone. And
yeah,
it's like it's okay to be a little weird. Like
yeah,
it tells readers it's okay to be a little weird. It doesn't mean like you're gonna go out and like unalive people or do anything, crazy. But
right,
I think if we all like, it wouldn't be interesting if we didn't have something to speak to. Like all my books are, I call them, I'm like, my books are messy and real. That's
yeah,
I have a happily ever after, but the in between is kind of messy because life is
right,
kind of messy. And I'm kind of tired of everyone doing what you're saying. It's like you have like a mental health issue and you just shove it under the rug or you ignore it. And
right,
it's not healthy. It's not healthy for my children to learn because I'm a mom. So
right.
I don't want my kids to grow up thinking that that's okay because
Hmm.
then they'll carry that over to their children. So it's like, so I
Yeah,
write,
just generations of avoidant behavior and none of us develop, none of us grow. Because I'm finding that my greatest days of discomfort are also my greatest days of learning. It's almost like when you're really hungry, you'll go seek out food. And if you're like spiritually, intellectually, philosophically hungry, you will go looking instead of like, okay, you're scrolling on your phone on social media or you're doing anything at all, trying to have a laugh, doing the whole Robin Williams big and boisterous and loud and laughing and doing everything to avoid like sitting in the discomfort to be like, hey, I might be out of alignment with my true calling. And like, okay, how do I get back on the path so I can actually be happy and whole? And what would that take? And we've trained an entire generation to like, there's no meaning, just find a way to feel better. You know what I mean?
take a pill and that'll make it all better.
Yeah,
And
100%.
and it's not I and I don't think it's like therapists are kind of like between a rock and a hard place, right? Because they they want to do things, but also we're kind of in an environment now. Amazon kind of changed things a little bit when you have like
Hmm.
instant gratification. You order
Yeah,
something, you want it right away. It's not so instant anymore. Like, but when they first came out, you could get your packages in 2 or 3 days, and this was like unheard of, right? You
right,
used to have
right.
to wait weeks to get something in the mail. Um, and it's kind of the same way with people wanting to be successful. They want instant gratification.
Hmm.
With being an author, people want instant gratification. They think if they write it, it's like Field of Dreams. If I write it, they will come. It
Right.
doesn't
There's
work that
people
way.
waiting for this book they don't even know. They'll never know if it never existed, but somehow they're waiting for it. I'm like,
Yeah,
okay,
like what are you like in La La Land, right?
right.
Um, and but we have this sense that like maybe it's a self of like overimportance or a misunderstanding of how things work, um,
Hmm.
or a want or a desire that you think things will happen instantly. And there's a culture in which if it doesn't, depression sets in. And I
Yeah.
don't know exactly where that started. Because I wasn't of the generation where everyone got a trophy, right? In
Right.
my growing up, you won or you lost. And my
Right.
parents taught me you be a good loser. Being a good loser means going up to the winner and saying, congratulations, good game.
You
Or some,
practice more than I did, and you have a reason to be proud. And I'm okay with, you know what I mean? Like I will be gracious in defeat, and we'll see you next time. And
yes.
we get better in the interim.
But I think it all plays into this culture of if it doesn't happen, because there's this expectation that, well, I should get a trophy. People should buy
Right.
my book. People should like me. Like, but that's not how the world works. That's how we
Right.
want it to be, but that's not
Right.
how it is. And so there's this like this sense of, you know, I don't know, my point is basically, so that's why I write the way that I do. I write messy and real because that's in my mind, I want my kids to know, and I don't ever expect my kids to ever read my books, but it's the philosophy that I bring to the table when even as a parent is
Right.
the world is not going to hand you the world.
Yeah.
Like you have to work to do something. So my
Right.
daughter sees I do all these things and she's watching it happen. I'm like, success is not easy. Success takes time. Like my
Yeah.
husband is now with the kids at dance because I wanted to do this because
Right.
this is for my career. Um,
Yeah.
and I have a partner that is supportive of that. So, but my kids see that. And I think that's a healthy, like they have to know that it doesn't just happen. I mean, maybe it does for some people, but not for me. Like,
Yeah, I feel like, I mean, everyone's on some different journey, right? Like, I believe in this whole manifestation thing, right? Like, I went to a good high school, right? And it was interesting, the community, and some people didn't have a lot of money, some people had like stupid money. And these families who had like stupid money, the kids, let's say, did caddying at like a really nice golf course and they're carrying Michael Jordan's clubs in, Long Grove, Illinois or something. And like, they grew up with money and then they're surrounded by very successful people in this exclusive club. And it always felt natural rolling in those circles. And then they all went on to do, generally they did very well. And it's not that they didn't work hard, but it never felt unnatural to be successful. Like a big thing that people struggle with is like feeling like an imposter in a successful place or something. You know what I mean? So like we're all on this different journey. I've had to fight hard for my stuff, and it's weird. I want like a million readers, but then like sometimes it's even weird getting a compliment, right? Like I work so hard on this book and you get a compliment and you're like, I don't know how to reply to this. I'm not good at receiving compliments, like that's, I don't know, always been kind of weird. And we all are on this journey, which is neither here nor there. You and I, we both I have a young son and you've got young kids. And I think part of it, like we're trying to show our kids how to like chase a dream. Like, okay, here's how you balance a career and a dream. Here's how you invest in yourself. Here's how you invest in your marriage. Like trying to show them that the American dream exists and life is full of possibilities if you're willing to put in the work. Then I feel like we're kind of in the same boat trying to navigate that.
well, you posted a video that really spoke to me. And I don't know how, maybe it was a couple months ago. You posted it, I don't know if it was a true story, if it was more of an anecdote, but you were
Mm.
talking about a gentleman that basically paid readers to read his book. He got on the New
Mm.
York Times bestsellers list, and then nothing came of it, right? He had this day
Yeah.
in the sun, but he never really got readers. He never picked up a reader base.
His
He didn't
readers
have a
never
following.
found new readers. They were never
Yeah.
inspired to share it.
And the ones that he got, they weren't enough to want to buy his next book. Like he
Right.
didn't create a relationship with them for whatever reason, whether it's like the way that I do it through TikTok and talking to
Yeah.
people, or for them just to speak through the book. He
Mm.
didn't he didn't convert those individual readers into future readers.
Mm.
And then you talked about another person that was working really hard and got one reader and one other reader and then another reader. And while it may have taken 3, 4 years to
Yeah.
cultivate a long-term base of readers, those are loyal readers that anytime that person writes a book, they're going to buy the book. And
Yeah.
that spoke to me because it's it can be very discouraging as an indie writer when you're seeing all these traditional writers who've got all these machines backing them to
Yeah.
help them be successful. And don't get me wrong, traditional writers, people that get published can fail. Like you can be traditionally published and go nowhere.
I think 4 out of 5 of those books never recoup the $5,000 advance. Like we only see the winners because if something is winning, they put it everywhere and it's in your face. And it feels like it's a much bigger, more people. It's really a very small group of people who have good investment behind them. But it feels like, God, it's all these people are making it. How do I break through? But
And
anyway,
and people can get very excited. I got an agent. Well, you might get an agent, but nobody wants to buy the book from the agent. Like that's just one step in the thing, right?
mountain
So,
climb,
and
the
then all those people
marathon.
are like coming out saying, "Well, this is how I got my agent. This is what you should do." And they're always experts, right?
Right.
Um, but at the end of the day, it's like it can be discouraging, but so I do my lives, and there's times when there's like 3 or 4 people in my live. And
Hmm.
I'm like, for a while, I was discouraged by that until I realized those 3 or 4 people were sitting there listening to me read my book because they were interested in what I was reading. Other
Right.
people may have scrolled by, but those 3 or 4 people then brought 3 or 4 more people. And then they brought
Right.
more people. And now my lives can be, I get like 20 people in the live. Still, not a huge audience. I'm not getting like hundreds of thousands or even 100 or more people in
Hmm.
a live. But those are
Hmm.
now people that read my books. So and I'm making connections. It's one person at a time. It's
Right.
not going to happen overnight. And I, after hearing you say that, like I have to remind myself,
Hmm.
I'm not paying people to read my books. I'm not paying people like I don't have that kind of those resources, and I don't think I would want them because then I would have to do it again because those aren't real readers.
Right. Or it's like buying a trophy. You're like, can you really hang it on the shelf?
I
Yeah.
wouldn't.
No,
Like
you wouldn't feel good about it. You're like, it's kind of fake, but it looks nice.
I didn't earn it. I didn't
Right.
actually earn it.
Right.
So for me, it's those little things that you made that statement and it sat with me. And I kind of remind myself whenever I get down that
Yeah.
like there were days when I would have zero sales on KDP.
Right. Right.
Zero, like for days. I
I
haven't
still
had that
get
in a
that
while.
sometimes. I
So
still,
like
every
if
once in a while, I still get a zero. I'm like, ooh, that, and it always feels like crap. You're like, it'd be better off if I didn't check it. I was in a good mood. Be better off if I didn't even look. Yeah.
yeah, like wait for the royalty check to get in your account and then you can see how much it is and then like why am I doing this to myself?
Yeah.
But like it is it but and then I have to remind myself this is why I'm doing what I'm doing. This is why I go on lives. This is why I talk to my readers. This is why I spend time chatting with them, letting them
Mhm.
listen to my works in progress that are like. And I always have to remind them, like, guys, this is absolute crap. This is just giving you an idea of what I might be writing.
This is
Like,
not the finished product. Yeah.
no, like I will be editing while I'm reading because I will like spit over myself and I like, oh, that did not sound like a word, or like that did not word. Like those
Yeah.
sentences did not make sense. What was I thinking when I wrote this at 2 o'clock in the morning?
Like
Like,
it read better than it reads out loud. You're like,
you're like, I thought this sounded so good in my head when I wrote it when I was exhausted. And it did not, like, I don't know what I wrote. Like the words didn't make sense. Um, but it's those 3 or 4 readers that I've picked up, and it's the patience. But that's why I'm like, that sense of it should happen overnight or success should just happen. Like my sister wrote a children's book and she's very
Mhm.
upset. She's like, I don't understand why people aren't buying it. Like you aren't on
Mm.
any social media platforms talking about your book. Like
Right.
you just wrote it. And did you think that like I wrote these books and then like, all of a sudden people just started reading them? Like,
Right.
no. Like
Yeah, it's a long process. We wear so many hats, but I do remind myself sometimes like what a privilege it is to even be able to chase this dream. Like if I was like I am starving and it's raining and I have nowhere to go, like there's no writing a book. You know what I mean? The fact that like, oh, woo is me, I got to play marketer too. I'm like, okay, I get to chase this dream. Like how many people in the world actually even have the opportunity to try? Like I ain't complaining.
I mean, I complain a little. I hate the marketing part of it. I it is not for me. I
Yeah.
consider myself an introvert with extroverted tendencies, so it
Okay.
might be a little bit easier for me than for others. But
Yeah.
in general, like, wouldn't it just be grand to just write the book, have the reader base, and never have to like just come on because you want to talk to people, not because you have to. Like, wouldn't
Yeah.
that be lovely? That day in the like
Ah,
sunshine in the clouds when like I go into a room and there's 100 or so people that just want to talk about my books. Like, isn't
yeah.
that the dream?
That is the dream. And we're losing out on the chance to be like mythological figures. Like part of here's what bums me out the most. Like I have this story, The Blueberry Daughter, and I love it. It's beautiful. I can't live up to it with my marketing videos because I'm on here like, hey, buy my book. And if you read the book, you're like, wow, like what crazy son of a gun wrote this thing. And then you like see me and it's like just some dude. And like like I need to grow like a Mark Twain mustache and be a little more mythological, you know?
I
Yeah.
think at the end of the day, what I've learned the most is that I can talk about my books until I'm blue in the face.
Hmm.
But the reality is like it's the readers that talk about them that that influence other people to read them. And they don't ca- they don't want to hear me say how wonderful my books are.
Right.
It's like put your money where your mouth is, right? If
Hmm.
I that's why I do my live readings. That's why I read my books aloud when I have a finished product. I like here's an opportunity for you to see how I write and why what I write I think is good. And you can like
Yeah.
it or you can't like it. And that's okay. Like not everyone has to like my books. That's
Hey,
the wonderful thing about the world is that it's okay to not like the same things. Like
no, God. This was one of the fastest 40-minute episodes I've done. Zoom is going to kick us out in somewhere less than 20 seconds. All of Alexandra's links are going to be in the description. Definitely check her out, check out her books, connect with her. And I'm going to have to bring you back on because I feel like we only are just starting to talk, you know?
this was fun. It was an easy conversation. I appreciate